What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about Home Depot and how much 100 shares of this company will pay you in quarterly dividends. So let's go ahead and dive into it here. So looking at the data from August 3rd, this week was pretty red for the overall market. Home Depot did seem to pull back Friday as well. As you can see here, it was down $3.15 on the day, or 0.88%. So, needless to say, the whole market's been pulling back the past week or so. So it'll be interesting to see if, things can level out, or if we're just now beginning to enter, a huge bearish cycle, right? So looking at Home Depot, though, today we want to talk about their dividend. They pay a pretty healthy dividend at 2.53%. So that's more than the S&P 500. Their annual dividend amount is $9 per share. So pretty massive there, but that's also because their share price is pretty big there as well. PE ratio coming in at 22.81. Do keep in mind that varies per sector. So it's kind of really hard to assess if that's a good price to earnings ratio or not. You'll have to look at the sector to see how that compares. But with that being said, the cool thing about Home Depot is their dividend growth rate. So this year, they're paying $2.25 per share per quarter. Last year, it was $2.09. The year before that, it was $1.90. And if you continue to scroll here, you see it's just been massively year after year. They're trying to increase that dividend. So that's awesome to see. Part of that probably is definitely because the share price has been massively increasing over the past 10, 20, 30 years. And then, just by that itself, the dividend yield or the dividend per share is going to increase. But needless to say, their dividend has been growing. And as a dividend growth investor like myself, that's what I like to see. So 100 shares of this stock is going to cost you a pretty penny at $35.5K. And then, that's going to pay you at $900 annually, right? $900 annually. And then if you divide that by 4, 900 divided by 4, you're going to get paid roughly, $225 per quarter if you have 100 shares and you're willing to invest $35 into this individual stock. So that's it. Let's look at kind of like the performance of Home Depot here. Yeah, so looking at, I think this is data from their most recent earnings report in April. Their revenue decreased year over year. Their net income decreased 7%. Diluted earnings per share down 4.97%. And their net profit margin dropped 4.9%. So the earnings did not look great. They actually missed on their revenue expectation. Looks like that was the first miss in a while, or at least the last 3 quarters there. Scrolling down a little bit further here, I kind of wanted to find a website that has some good performance data listed. Sorry about that dog barking in the background. Okay, so year to date, I think I saw earlier, it was like 3% year to date. So definitely lagging behind the market a good bit there. 11% dividend CAGR over the last 3 years, so that's pretty good. Yeah, so not quite what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some looking for a good website here, like I mentioned, that kind of shows us the performance, not necessarily the dividend. Here, I can just scroll back up. Let's see. Go back one page here. Okay, Home Depot, here we go. So year to date, like I mentioned, it's up 3%. So lagging the market a little bit. Past years only up 7.76%. Past 5 years, it's up 67%. And then if you want to look at a maximum time frame, it's a pretty massive gain there. 104,000% return starting back in 91. Would have been amazing to buy some shares there at 65 cents a share. But it would have been also very impressive to have been able to hold it and not sell it that whole time, right? But yeah, needless to say, year to date, not performing great, but it is in the green. Looks like back in March, it was doing a little bit better, but it has pulled back a good bit since then. It was at 400. So yeah, it was doing pretty well up through March, up almost 15%, but it has definitely pulled back a good bit since then. Let's see. Pulled back a good 10% or so. Yeah, so needless to say, it's, why has it been performing that way? Maybe because the earnings miss in April, or the revenue expectation miss in April. Why are they missing on revenue? Is it because of a high interest rate environment? There's a lot of variables that could be, the reason why Home Depot just hasn't been performing well. But with the hope of interest rates potentially getting cut later this year, could be a good time for some of these stocks to kind of rebound and start performing a little bit better than what they have been doing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, needless to say. But high level of this video, if you have 100 shares, that's the goal. I'm trying to get to 100 shares of every stock I own. Is going to cost me $35,000. So I'm not there yet, but once I do have 100 shares, I can expect to receive $225 in quarterly dividends from this company, or $900 per year. And, the cool thing about investing into these lower yielding companies, I'm not saying 2.53% is real low, but it's not like a super high yielding stock. But it gives them room to grow their dividend year after year. And we saw that earlier. Home Depot is a great dividend growth play according to the data from the previous years. Are they going to be able to sustain that forever? Probably not, but it looks like they are trying to make a focus on continually increasing their dividend there. So that's good to see, and that's an interesting thing that I like to look at for sure when evaluating companies and deciding if I want to invest into them. So yeah, guys, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around and staying with me so far if you're still here. Once again, we wanted to talk about Home Depot today and how much 100 shares will pay you in dividends.